Hey there, everyone. Picking up on the Excel mapping videos. Today we're going to cover how to map county level data in Excel. I went ahead and pulled up a website where I grabbed the data. This is the Arkansas Department of Health, some of their drug monitoring program. This is an Esri built-in experience dashboard. It's not bad. It gives you the bare minimum of kind of what you're doing. Keep in mind the type of data they're displaying so I understand what they're doing with it. To kind of give you a quick overview, different types of drug classifications and the prescriptions they have across Arkansas counties. So with that, if we click across, you can kind of see by year the counties in Arkansas and the rates of that. To give you an idea, they are calculating rates divided by the prescriptions divided by the population times 100. So how many per 100 people per county? A little low for counties itself, but it gives you a number that you can easily interpret. So you can see that down here where there are differences primarily across the delta here. You can see just some basic demographics with that as well. And what we did, or what I already did, was I went ahead and exported and downloaded this file as a CSV. So I already have that open in Excel. And with that, let's hop over to Excel. So when you download it, it is a CSV. I already saved it as a workbook just to make life a bit easier. If you're not familiar with some of this data, we do have the county that Arkansas, within Arkansas, we have the county FIPS. So remember, this is a unique identifier. The state of Arkansas has a 2-digit FIPS 05. So if you had the 05 plus the county FIPS, you now have a 5-digit unique identifier that you can then merge in. Say you wanted census data or other county level data that also has a FIPS code to it. Easy to merge it based on that unique identifier there, the shared attribute across multiple data sets. It gives you some relatively helpful information from population to the dispensaries or the scripts per year based on the drug type itself. And it calculates quite a few of the rates for what we're interested in on the back end. Now you might be interested in how do I make this map on my own in Excel. So we're going to do that today and walk through some of those steps at the county level because it is a little different because it can be a little finicky or a bit more troublesome if you're not used to it. So what I've already done in this sheet 1 down here, I copied the county, population for 24, and opioid for 24. This rate was not calculated in that original data set, so this also lets us go through how to calculate that rate. And we're going to make actually 3 different maps to show why this does matter versus population versus just looking at the counts versus the rate itself that takes into account population. With that, you see here we have a county, but Excel's not going to know what state that is linked to. So we need to give it a bit more geography for that and turn it into that geography data type. So to do that, I'm going to insert a column and I'll zoom in here to make it a bit easier. And it is going to be our county state. And I still need a new keyboard because it gives me that 2U every now and then. We're going to use concat. So this is going to make it easier to join a couple pieces of information. So we know we want the county name. Parenthesis, county name. So we know we want that, but we also have to designate that this is a county. So when you're doing a concat, you need to then put a comma, quotation. I'm going to put county in it, and I did put a space there. So it's going to say Lone Oak space county. So it is truly reading it that way. And then comma, Arkansas. Close off that paren. And now you can see when I double click it out, we specify that this is a county within Arkansas. So I'm going to flash fill that down by clicking that green box. And right now, all of these have a formula. So what I typically do is just right click, copy, and then I'm going to paste it as the values itself to where now it truly is that. Now we can get into mapping some of this data. But before we do that, keep in mind, this is still recognized as just a data field, it's a text string itself. So we need to specify this as a geography field. So I'm going to select that cell B2, Lone Oak, Control Shift down arrow, and it's selecting the 75 counties. I'm coming up to my data tab, and now I'm going to select geography, give it a bit of time. Excel's going to look at these and try to identify the specific county that we're working with. Why this is also important, you can see here in row 20, we have Nevada. So if we just left that as Nevada and try to turn that into geography, Excel would recognize that as a state, similar to Arkansas. Yes, there is an Arkansas County, Arkansas. Don't ask me why, but that's just how we've done it here. I don't know the history of that one. But this is why it's so important when we want to get into the mapping side that we do specify that it is a county geography within Arkansas. So now that we've done that, I can highlight these two columns, come to insert, and now I'm just interested in a fillable map. You can see here it picked up population, and you can see the middle Pulaski County here also has Little Rock in it, the most populated city within Arkansas. And then we have Benton and Washington County up here. We have Bentonville, Rogers, Springdale, and we have Fava down here, which also has University of Arkansas. I live up in Northwest Arkansas, spent some years in Little Rock as well. With that, this is why we'll kind of go through three different maps of why it's important to take into account the population. There's a lot of literature on how to identify specific populations or denominators to understand a better rate that's at risk. But for now, we're going to move this to its separate sheet so we can look at a couple different maps and go through them. So I'm going to give it a quick title of this one. It's just our population one. There we go. I just had to hit Control Z. So if I right click on this now, I want to move my chart and I want to move it to a new sheet, and that's just going to be called population. You can see at the bottom now, I added a sheet and it has this one in here so we can look at it. Next, I want to look at the opioids. So again, I'm going to select column B, hold down Control, select column D, come up to insert. I'm going to do a same map, and it's going to now shift it to the opioid count. So these are the prescriptions that are provided within the state of Arkansas by county for 2024. Similar patterns. If you think about it, we'll go back and forth, but a lot in Pulaski County. Higher values, the darker bluish here that you can see more prescriptions. So we're going to do opioids here. Keep hitting enter, forgetting what software I'm in. Now I'm going to move this one to its separate sheet as well. So new sheet, opioid. Now if we just click back and forth real quick, you can see they're pretty similar in terms of population distribution and opioid prescription distribution itself. But keep in mind, we want to understand the population. So the count could look high or could look low when we account for the underlying population itself. So to do that, we're going to make a new column. That's going to be our opioid rate 100. We're going to do it the same way they did online in the Esri dashboard. So they did it by 100. So they did it by taking our opioid here, our prescriptions, divided by that county population. Then you multiply it by 100. And now we have a rate per 100, how many scripts per 100 people receive that type of script in that county specifically. So you see a wide range here. And now we just want to map this. So we can come here again, highlight column B, Control, highlight column E, come up to Insert, Maps, Fill. You can see it looks very different this way. Obviously, the coloring is a bit more constricted in terms of the range itself. But let's put this title as opioid rate 100. Right click, and we're going to move this to a new sheet as well. And opioid rate. But the interesting part to look at, if you remember Pulaski County here in the middle and Benton and Washington County up here were a bit darker when it came to both population and the opioid prescription. So this makes sense, just given that population, they should have more there for the scripts itself. But when we take into account that script by the population, we see a very different, they come down quite a bit, and you see a bit more down here in the Delta region of Arkansas, but also just more in the east itself. This is a quick way to map some of this data, to visualize it, to do what they had on their dashboard online. But if you want to look at county data itself, a quick way to do it in Excel. As a reminder, if you wanted to add some data labels to it, just right click, add data labels, and now you have the rates by county itself to give you some idea of where the high areas are. And you can select specific counties on it. You can see this is Phillips County. You can see this one down here is Ouachita. You can see some of the lower ones up here, the Benton, the northern one, and Washington up here are quite a bit lower when we look at it for the rates versus just the counts itself. So some of the higher ones for the counts of scripts versus the rate itself. Again, quick way to map some data in Excel at the county level. If there's any questions, feel free to reach out. Until next time, take care.